Hey guys, welcome to the Drift Podcast. I'm here with
Travis.
and I'm Ben. Today we're discussing the Drift Bible.
Yeah, it's going to
So-
be a good episode, but first, let's get on to news.
So we have Bring the Bash 4 coming up at Port Macquarie on the 11th and 12th of May.
Yep.
As an announced driver, Daigo Saito is coming.
Damn.
And that'll be cool as I'm sure there was someone else really interesting coming. I can't remember, but that'll be super cool.
Yeah.
And we've got Halfway Hangs coming up next
Yep.
weekend. And on the same weekend, we have the Adam LZ event. So if you're not driving to Halfway Hangs, come see us at Archerfield.
Or if you come back because it's the
Or,
alternating
or
days.
if you're Pecky, just,
Just
do
come
both.
to both.
Do both. Why not?
Yeah.
Don't
be soft.
Yeah, pretty much. Just get good.
Get good.
And we also have a few surprises coming up for anyone coming to Archerfield.
Yeah, so for a start, we've finally done some stickers.
Yeah.
Can't really see that with the light. It's going to go blurry if you put it up close.
It shouldn't.
Yeah. You can kind of
Yeah,
see
there
it
you
a
go.
little bit. Yeah, just some new basic merch. Yeah, it's not really working.
There we
go.
We've got a couple of other shapes. So we have an AE86 Treno,
Yep.
like Trav's, and hopefully mine soon.
Yeah, R34.
And we've got my R34 with Drift Podcast logo. So that'd be super cool.
Yeah.
And then something that Trav came up with, which
Yeah.
is super cool.
So I wanted to do some kind of physical merch for the podcast as well. So I've spent a lot of time and I've been designing these key holders and actually say the Drift Podcast in there. You can't see it again, but yeah, you can just attach a normal keychain keyring in there, and the key just bolts down with a little grub screw, and you just cut down your normal aftermarket keys, basically.
Yeah.
Put it in there, tighten it up, happy days. And we've
Cool.
got them in
Multiple different colors.
multiple colors. There's even more colors than
We've
this.
got glow in the dark ones.
Yeah, well, and this purple is actually glow in the dark too. So
But we can't turn the lights off. So
yeah, but you
But
get the point.
yeah, that'll be cool. So
Yeah, so
Come-
a couple of new things coming. So yeah, definitely
come see us at Archerfield. We'll have some of them. The
Yeah.
stickers and
Yeah, or even
Everything.
just hit us up. We can post for sure as well if you're not going to be able to make it to the Archfield event. So yeah, and we plan to bring them to a few other events that we go to as well.
yeah. Try and keep a few on hand. It'd be cool.
Yeah, help give us some support if you can. Let us know. We'll put some photos up on Facebook probably later on tomorrow or something.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'm keen.
Awesome. All right, well, let's get into it. I am going to go to this one.
So hopefully this works because we have a little Drift Bible video playing. There we go.
Yeah. Comments working. All right, so Drift Bible.
Hey, yeah, you will.
That didn't work. All right, start talking about Drift Bible anyway.
So the Drift Bible came out in 2003, 2004 on DVD in America and England. I'm not sure when it aired in Japan, but it covers the basic
I think
starts
YouTube's
of
working.
drifting, I guess you could call it. Covering a few of the really simple entry level techniques overall, which is pretty good. A lot of it's still relevant today. A few of the techniques aren't really used as much, but are still very handy things to know, especially if you mess up. It's good to know the limits of your car. But yeah, so that's more or less what we'll be discussing today. Some of the things that have changed, I guess, in the 15 years that it's
15 years. So it
Been
came out in
out.
2003. Obviously, the main person in the video is Kishi Tsuchiya. And you can see in the video that's his K office, which he used to own and
Own and
run.
yeah.
Suspension.
Specializing in all suspension components and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They also made wheels, which is cool.
So yeah, he had a basic setup S14. It's putting up the specifications
Yeah,
for it
spec
at the
list
moment.
down the moment.
It's actually a pretty basic S14 that they were classing as a very highly competitive drift car at the time, which it probably
Probably
somewhat
was.
was. Yeah,
2003. They probably
Yeah.
shot it a year before, even.
yeah,
So,
yeah, or
you know.
longer. So yeah, this is like around. I would say that is like peak initial D anime time as
100%.
well.
Like,
So
even how right towards the end, he makes a Takumi comment, like that
Yeah.
he taught Takumi how to drive. So
Yeah.
it was definitely peak initial D time,
Yeah.
which was cool.
Which was the right time for this type of movie to come out. You know, this was right when drifting was really just starting to get its followers in the international community. It was also narrated by the guy who normally does the best motoring stuff.
Yeah,
as far as I'm aware, it was the same guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all of those were dubbed up until I think it was like '08 or something like that. So I think at least season 1 and 2 of Best Motoring DVDs were dubbed, and then after that they were just subtitled. But
Subtitles are better.
yeah, so and that is a good point. Yeah, the adjustable cordless was still quite a new thing. So like K-Office
Exactly.
would have been like quite high quality stuff and high tech stuff.
Oh yeah, they were
for the
very
day.
advanced for the time.
You know, and we'd only just gotten S15s at that point too. Like they were just ending for S15s.
Yeah,
in,
they were still being sold at that point.
or just. So, you know, but even still saying that, his S14 is still quite new. You know, it was still only an 8 to 9 year old car at the time. So yeah, just some things to think about for how it was back then when this was filmed, put it in kind of context. So yeah. So he's showing 6 different techniques, basic techniques in the video. I missed what
This
they
one
were.
is the feint entry drift, which
Yeah, it's a
is
pretty basic.
very basic. It's sort of
isn't this
moved-
handbrake first? No, it's
No,
handbrake first.
feint drift first, handbrake second.
I
I guarantee you,
I'm
because I
saying
read
pulling
it.
the handbrake.
It said feint at the start. Come on, I watched this last night.
But yeah, basically it was feint drift, brake drift, handbrake drift. So like brake drift was foot brake drift. And like
Something they consider dynamic,
which is just
drifting.
basically like a lift your
a
foot
lift
off the
off
throttle.
like high speed. Yeah,
Yeah, lift your foot off the throttle at high speed and reapply it immediately, and just enough to break torque in the differential to make it lock up. So, is that 5?
yeah. I can't remember. There was
Yeah, there was 6, but anyway, they're all very basic, very very basic forms and what everyone should master. And I remember when I was watching it back in the day, and when I was like 16, and basically with the braking drift, that was the one thing that just really confused me, and like I was just like, I just don't get it, you know. Like, but now obviously I'm just like, oh yeah, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
I use that, but yeah, how relevant do you think all of these 6 are in your experience?
I'd definitely say 3 out of the 6 are still very used today. I still use 3.
Shift lock, that was one we missed.
There we go.
Yeah.
Speaking of outdated ones, that was definitely one of them.
So Ben, you don't like shift lock.
I don't like shift lock because it just puts unnecessary wear on your car.
Yet
it is
you will
not-
just smash that clutch kick all day long. What's the difference?
I've never broken a T50 or a 25 box.
Oh yeah, there's drifting at Power Play this weekend as well. So
Touch wood.
at
yeah.
at QR. I'm not sure who's driving that.
I wouldn't have a clue.
Hmm.
Brendan, are you driving? Please, you are.
But anyway, shift lock.
Shift lock. It's
So what don't you like about shift lock?
It
Like,
just
what
puts-
do you feel is the difference between shift lock and a clutch kick? Because I'm telling you,
'Cause
clutch
shift
kick's
lock
probably
is-
more violent.
probably, but all the load is going to the correct side of the gears in the gearbox, and you are going faster. Where shift lock, instead of entering in a third gear corner, you slow down, you bang second without rev matching, and you just slide through the corner. So you've lost all your entry speed. Yeah.
I don't know. I
No,
don't know.
100%.
It depends how you use it, because Brendan, you are driving. Okay. So I feel like if you're going in third into a corner that ends up being a second gear corner, you kind of, I would use shift lock only in a multiple.
I wouldn't use
multiple style drifting, like, or multiple type of initiation, rather than just a single type of
Yeah,
initiation.
because like, you wouldn't come flying in and go, oh, bang second, lose traction, blow your gearbox up, can't make the exit of the corner.
I don't see that you're going to blow your gearbox up.
100%.
I feel that it's more a risk. Nah. I don't think a clutch kick, in fact, is more of a risk on blowing your gearbox, because in a higher gear you are got a lot more there's a lot more pressure on the box in a high gear if your car is loaded down low. So if you're kicking clutch like under 3,000 RPM or under power band, that is when you're at most risk of damaging.
Yeah, okay, that's
and you're
just
pushing a
gears.
shift lock.
But if
you're pushing a shift lock, and wait. Let me do a comparison. Because if you're kicking clutch in third gear, trying to get it up onto boost, which is what happens a lot, that is way more pressure on gear sets weight than when you're doing a shift lock dropping down a gear, because you're revving the car back up into its power band, and that is less pressure that's going on there. You risk over revving your engine, but I wouldn't say that it is any more risk damage than to a gearbox than a clutch kick.
Yeah, but okay, yeah, sure. If you're coming in way too slow and you're in third gear at 3,000 RPM and you're trying to clutch kick, it's just dumb. You're coming in at third gear at like 5,000 and you clutch kick it to get it sideways, you're not putting a whole lot of stress on the gearbox. Because you're already throwing the car.
Yeah, but then you're already you wouldn't be knocking it down to second anyway.
Yeah, you will be, because you come in third, swing back, pop second, but you're not dropping.
No, but if you're already at 5,000 RPM, then you're going to slow down back to that 3,000 RPM that you would be in third gear anyway.
But I guess the point is that drifting's progressed so much to the point of you're entering further back than you would be if you were doing a shift lock style entry. You'd be right at corner entry.
Maybe you got to remember it's for beginners.
This is also true.
A beginner is always going to be very scared of how fast you are to hit the corner. And I think that was probably one thing that actually wasn't truly explained in the video, was how much faster than circuit racing and how much faster you can actually hit a corner than what you think you can hit the corner at.
Yeah, that's the other thing, yeah.
Yeah, so... Brook Monkey said that also at the Power Play, we got Drift Pirates and the Hog's Breath team driving there as well, so that should be pretty good. If you're down there, definitely check that out.
Take some photos, send it to us. It'd be cool. I'm keen.
So next, let's go handbrake.
Handbrake. I don't know. Interesting. That was it was very well executed. It's super easy. I like honestly wish that I did learn to use the handbrake a little bit earlier, because I started in an 8.6 and all I ever learned was how to clutch kick. And it sort of hindered me when I moved from the 8.6 to the 34. Is I only clutch kicked it and I was too scared to just sit on the handbrake and enter a corner until very recently I worked out my mental block there. But yes, no, like it's a very good technique, very well explained.
Yeah, I think it was a really good explanation in this. Yeah. And honestly, even after watching this movie now, you know, it has aged quite well overall. And for a beginner, I 100% recommend that.
Just watch it and at least.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, so we've done shift lock and handbrake, foot brake. Let's move on to that other
braking
little
drift.
one.
Let's.
I think the way that I think he had to add braking drift into it to show that you still use foot brake in drifting. I think it was I'm not going to say like it was a how to use braking drift. I think it was more of a, this is something you can use, you know,
I feel like
a teaser almost.
Definitely had come from like the circuit style of driving where, you know, you get on the brakes, you get a bit of oversteer and you just ride it out. Because it's not a crazy high angle one. Yeah. And if you skip along the end of the video, you'll see that he does a lot of high speed stuff at the end.
Yeah. Where he probably is using brake drift to how you meant to.
How you meant to.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a technique I can see used for a lot of NA cars, especially at QR. One of my friends actually uses it.
Yeah.
He has a little MX-5, and that thing, he'd just come rattling down the straight in fourth gear and just stab the brakes and point it towards the wall.
Yeah.
And it's the most terrifying thing to watch when you're at, you know, the marshalling point, because you're like, oh god, I've just sent this guy to his death. And then just like bang third, other way, bang second, makes it all the way around turn 6. You're like, or turn 5, sorry, or 3. Whatever, you know.
A corner.
But yeah, no, it's very, at high speed, it's very interesting, but, you know, as I think a turbo car would not really be used anymore.
Yeah, look, I watched a video, another best motoring video, a while ago now. Sorry.
Chav's dying. I'll come Paso. Yeah.
So I watched another best motoring video, and it would have to be 5 years ago, and it was teaching circuit racers, and I think they were all female, how to drift.
No, it was 3 and 3. I'm pretty sure it was like
Yeah, it was something like that.
And one of the dudes was like blown away by drifting, and he's like, "I think I'm gonna go buy myself a drift car."
Yeah, and
Right
one
at the
thing that
end.
they taught them, maybe they had 3 circuit races and 3 women who had never drifted before, and the circuit racers had never driven before. So something like that.
Yeah,
And
I know the video you're talking about.
And anyway, one of the big things that everyone came away from was a big part about that ultra super late braking that you see in Initial D with the S15 that crashes. But it has a point, because you brake so much later in, like you do in like high-end circuit racing. You know, you want to brake as late as possible. With drifting, you can just push it that little bit further, and you weight shift into entry with foot brake. And it's not, I wouldn't say it's advanced. I wouldn't say it's a beginner thing. It's more of like after you've done your beginner thing, like that's
Sort of
your next
progress
step.
to
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
And I feel that that's what the brake drift in this was a teaser for something like that, you know, because obviously he comes from a circuit racing background. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. Also a little bit of trivia. He was 48 years old when he did this video, and he's 63 now. So and if you see any like recent photos or videos, you can tell he's getting
getting
there.
old. It's sad, you know. You like watch your eyes shut. Please
And he
don't
does
get
look
old.
quite young, you know, in this video
100%.
too. So, but yeah, you see him now, and you're like, oh, yeah, you are getting old.
Yeah, it's scary.
So am I. Oh,
Yeah, you are. Old man. Faint entry.
Faint entry. I think that was quite well explained.
Quite well explained.
People
I feel
know
like-
it as the Scandinavian flick.
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely progressed as drifting has progressed.
I feel that is what is now a majority stake in drifting entry these days for high-end drifting is faint drift.
A faint drift, or the Sanpatsu 3 motion, where you kind of like swing it to the left and go back to the right corner, or in that
that's a
regard.
lot slower though in comparison.
Not
It's a little bit slower.
yeah, kind of.
It
You know,
depends
it's-
again, and this is another thing
For
that
example,
it
you look at
explains.
Dipper track. You know that it's become more of a flick into the corner rather than a
Yeah,
steer to the.
but you
unsettled
do
car.
lose a lot of speed on that corner though, so it's just
But it
kind
is
of suited for
also
that.
a 90-degree corner, so it does.
Yeah.
You do sort of continue the idea of a faint drift into it. It's
Hmm.
just progressed into drifting the faint part of it.
Yeah, that's a hard one to like kind of define different types of faint drift, because
It
I
also
feel there is
depends
a lot
on-
of different types.
Yeah, it also
now.
depends on corner and
Yeah.
you know.
And car setup. But yeah, I feel like the faint drift technique in this was actually explained quite
Yeah.
well. And honestly, like for me, I'd been in one drift car previous. I'd watched this video maybe 2 or 3 times, and then I bought a car at Episu and went there. I'd never pulled handbrake or kicked a clutch before in my life, and I was drifting by the end of the week and enough to compete in G1 GP, you know. So
And you lost.
and I lost hard. But yeah. If you if you do throw your car halfway through the mud, you ain't gonna slow down.
Yeah, that's the idea. That's what I did with the 8.6. I'm not,
Yeah,
were you
well-
in the car when I did that in the 8.6, Charlie? That was hectic.
Well, I went in 8.6 at Ebisu on West Coast, and it was just mud to mud. So you just like went from one side of the track to the other, and you just kept wetting those tires. So,
I love dirt dropping. It's amazing. I still do it in the 34. It was great. Matsuri, the whole car was just filled with mud.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
the worst.
So the last one's dynamic drifting, which I don't think is really what you would call that these days.
No, I think it's...
But again, that is just letting off the accelerator and straight back on. It was really funny watching that because he was so scared to enter that corner for that video. In what car was that in?
It was in the S14. And
or was
he
it the
coming-
8.6 he was scared to enter it like that in doing the faint drift? It was one of the two. And he was
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm not going to try and attempt this like because this is dicey. And like, you go to Ebisu and that's just all that people do on that corner.
Yeah.
You know, that's how you do that corner.
I also
So-
feel like that it's also that technique has progressed now that cars and the technology behind drift cars has moved up. You know, like we've got easily available, much better setup coilovers.
Yep.
We have like cut and shut knuckles, lock spaces. Back then,
More power as well. You
easier,
know, like,
more power.
your power is now like easily accessible of what his S14 was back then, whereas it probably cost a lot of money back then. So
I feel like it's definitely something that's progressed. Like the more stable drift cars have gotten, the easier it's been to control high speed drifting. As well as you see in some of the outcar videos of him doing demo lines here at Marseille Circuit, you see that S14 is still very wobbly. Whereas you look at a lot of cars today, even the super basic ones will be so much more stable.
Yeah, totally.
And, exactly. Lift off and floor it. That's it.
Yeah. I really do like it. We're up to a part where he is doing the demo run at Marseille Circuit, and I really like how he has the three ping pong balls. The G balls, and it's really interesting if you're mechanically minded, like to watch that, and it totally just makes it click, like with a mechanically minded person as they're watching that, to understand where the grip is in the car at that time. And it's also something to remember, like how much grip is in the rear even as you're going sideways. Like you can, because wherever those balls are is where the grip is at the time, you know. So you can still see as he's taking the corner that the grip is still right in that back corner that's on the inner side of the corner. So it's definitely very interesting to know that even a very basic S14, how much grip they still have, you know, that they're able to push those Gs into those tires at that speed. So, no,
it's definitely cool. You definitely notice some of the different lines that everybody runs now.
Yes.
Compared to what they were doing back then.
But at the same time, like I've been to judged events by Tsuchiya, and all he cares about is speed. Like when we were at the event that's in this background view,
at the moment.
we got kicked out, and we were probably one of the more consistent cars that I could see at the time, but we got kicked out because I think we were 1.5 kilometers too slow on the entry. And I'm like, man,
that's gotta hurt.
You know, it was between 1.5 and 3 kilometers. I can't remember, but it was less than 5 kilometers out on the entry speed. And you know, like that's how much he cares about speed in drifting it just does my head in. You know, it shouldn't be that much. But it is what it is, you know, and that's all he cares about. He comes from circuit racing. It's all about speed. So any style of driving that you see him doing is about speed. So
essentially.
Yeah.
No, it's I think some of it should be changed. That's like 1.5 Ks. I feel bad for you, dude.
It was depressing. I think we all just went to fall asleep.
I remember you sending me that message. I was like, oh, bro, we just like got kicked out because we were like 1.5 Ks too slow. I'm just like, close that. I won't message you now. Then you went and had dinner with him.
After he kicked us out. But yeah, so.
Some of the lines, you know, that Tsuchiya is taking here in the video are very old school, whereas, you know, you'll see a lot of cars now that like be able to link a lot of these corners or enter further back and...
Yeah, well, I think a good one is to watch like running 386 on this track. That is one to really see how you combine speed with really good angle.
madman.
Yeah, totally.
Driving.
Yeah, exactly.
So, no, definitely go check out Running 386 channel and his Instagram Running 386.
Yeah,
I have another viewer. Hello. Next comes up. I'm pretty sure was the definition of an understeery car when he comes.
Yeah. Well, one thing I want to talk about before it gets up to that point is actually what some of the things that they missed. So I think one thing that they did miss that maybe wasn't as important back then because you probably were going a bit slower was there was no talk on safety at all. And then the whole time when he's out on track, except for Marseille, he was
no helmet, no
helmet,
no seatbelt.
Yeah. So I think I'm still wearing a seatbelt, but definitely no helmet.
I suppose it was just a demo video, though.
It was, but it doesn't set a good. I don't. It's different.
It
back
was
then.
early 2000s. Nobody cared. It was.
Yeah,
not
exactly. Totally. Things are totally different. Ebisu probably didn't. I don't think Ebisu made you wear helmets up until like
Not true.
10 years ago. So
Okay, that's
people
hectic.
used to rock up. I heard a story that one Japanese guy, when they were starting forced to wear helmets, he didn't bring one with him, so he went and bought a watermelon and he cut the inside of it out and cut it into the shape of a helmet, and they let him out on track. So
Okay, that's pretty funny.
yeah. So and that's like a legit story of Ebisu. So kind of makes sense they didn't make him wear a helmet. But
Yeah.
I just want to talk about that because it is one thing that as you're starting as a beginner, you should care about safety. So
Yeah, don't hurt yourself.
yeah. If you can get a cage, get a cage. If you can spend money on a decent helmet, you're only going to spend it once. It'll
That's
last
it.
you 10 years.
That's
so spend decent money. Yeah. Okay, let me have a quick read through that if
Yeah.
you want to talk about something that you read through. There was nothing about rev matching whilst handbrake initiation technique. That was one thing I noticed. I know that's probably a little bit advanced, but I just don't think that they really explained much of that, and
Oh,
it's
wow.
something that should have been explained.
Charlie just come. First few events at Oran Parks, actually, Houston Creek didn't require helmets
Wow, really?
back in the day.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so maybe it just was all over that safety wasn't. a big
Maybe they
thing.
just considered it general as like, oh, drifting's really slow. You guys can't hurt yourself.
Yeah, they were pretty quick at Oran Park though back in the day. And yeah, I hate having to wear longs. That's just
Yeah,
pretty stupid.
no,
But that's
well,
a fire thing for most insurance companies.
yeah, but everybody wears flammable clothes.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, rev matching whilst handbrake initiation technique. That
I
was just
feel
one
like
thing
it
that I
was
think
sort
they
of
needed to.
lost in translation there, because if you did watch the video, he does rev match when he.
Not as much as I normally would. I think he
No.
lets it dip down quite a bit. But
So-
yeah, that's just a little thing I wanted to mention. I've already talked about the braking drift. I think that braking drift is also something that you would use in combination with feint.
Yeah,
It's
100%.
definitely not a thing that you would just do by itself.
No, definitely
essentially, it's not going to do anything for one.
I feel like they definitely also missed a good opportunity to demonstrate clutch kick entries, but I'm not sure that it was such a big thing back then as it is such a staple now.
Here's one thing that I really liked: that understeery car S13.
I love it. It was
with
great.
an SR. Like, try driving one with an RB up front, man. Come on. You don't know what understeer is.
Yeah, then you put it on little wheels.
And and then he says that an A86 is understeer. I'm like, try and hop in mine. It's got a fucking weldy. Like, that's
And
the
you got like
understeer
50-year-old front
king. I
tires.
can't even drift cars that don't have understeer now.
Yeah, you're messed up.
Yeah, my tires are the
Were they from,
same
like-
age as the Drift Bible video.
Were there?
Yeah,
You're far out.
03. It was either
This-
03 or 08.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been drifting on the whole time. And they're semis, so they're ultra hard.
Don't listen to anything Trav says there. Like, be safe.
But you should learn to drift with
them.
understeer. This is a big thing, and I think this is something that was also underrated on this video, is that you should be starting out in an S13 or especially an A86 that is not only understeery, but it's underpowered.
Yeah,
know,
well, they do mention learning in underpowered cars, and I feel like it's definitely...
If you can drive an A86, you can drive anything.
Yeah, well, that's exactly
except for maybe
right.
an MR2. We'll get to that.
We'll get to that. But yeah, no, I feel like the understeery demonstration in the Drift Bible was very well thought out. A little bit basic, but it did...
I lost interest and I missed that part.
Of
And I
course
think
you
it was
did.
quite short. And
It
that's
was
why I
very
missed it.
short,
Yeah,
but
it
yeah,
could
no.
have gone into it a bit more. And honestly, I drift with understeer, and I think
and a
it's
lot of
something.
people like that too, though.
It's
all
not that common though
personal
for people to
preference.
like set up a car for understeer. I think that learning in an understeery car really helps you when you're out on street, because the easiest way to crash is with understeer.
Yeah, you see, like, that's the thing, is I learned in the 8.6, and as soon as it started understeering, I was like, yep, no, went and bought semis and went, not understeering ever again.
Yeah, see, like I think like learning understeer is something that you
Okay.
really need to do. And yeah, Jay,
Yeah,
I
there we
didn't
go.
drive much.
See, there we go.
I don't want to talk about
Trav
my
has been
last
called out,
Ebisu
boys.
trip.
He hasn't
Yeah.
drifted in over a year. I do agree.
I don't want to talk about my last Ebisu trip.
Yeah, cool.
I did drift though, bastard. I drove with you until my bloody rack end, or not rack end fell out. Oh, my rack end fell out, and
And then
my
it
tire
broke.
end broke out of the knuckle. Yeah, but anyway, moving on.
Good job.
Speaking of knuckles, knuckle design back then was non-existent.
Nothing existed
you know,
for that. It was
as the guys mentioned earlier, coilovers were only just starting to become popular.
exactly.
So yeah.
Well, as we transition into MR2 oversteering.
yeah.
Well,
this is great. The
the-
poor little MR2.
Yeah.
They're such an underrated car, though.
I do enjoy them. And I got to drive a customer's one at my work
Yep.
like last month. And ever since then, I've wanted to have one as a daily because they're just so impractically awesome.
Yes.
Like, you got no room in it, but it's great.
I don't like this shape. I like the one previous.
Or AW11? I want an SW20.
Nah, AW11 all the way. I like that boxiness.
They are cool, but
and they
these
got
are so
4H,
nice inside.
so-
And their aircon was so cold. Like, it's, yeah.
Yeah.
You
Hashtag cotter pins. I know.
Oh, what's this?
yeah, I
You
didn't put one in.
Oh, you're a dick.
Yeah, it
Wow.
lasted like 2 laps, and like this is after like throwing it at the wall in 4th gear on the main straight on Higashi. And then as we come around the corner back this way, I get the mad steering wheel wobbles and I just start going into the dirt. And I'm like, and Jay's behind me like, oh shit. And he's trying to pull up. Yeah, that was a good time. And then I was
Cotter
just-
pins save lives, boys.
Yeah, don't forget to put cotter pins in.
I am very jealous, Jay. I want one. But yeah.
Another thing I wanted to mention, there was a that you can really see on Marseille circuit here is how much skinnier and like shorter the Japanese tracks are compared to Western race
Yeah.
tracks. Like
Exactly.
they're so much smaller. And
Which also probably attributes to the way Sachier was.
totally, you don't
Coming
have
in with-
runoff here. You don't have that width to go a crazy angle unless you're going quite a bit slower than what he is.
Yeah.
And he is driving this track quite quickly.
He is
like,
very
in
quick. As
reality,
you can see
you know,
here when he
Yeah,
goes in way too hot in this car. And
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
small tracks, scary times.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just definitely one thing to take note if you are a beginner and watching this video is that just understand how much tighter these tracks are in Japan than what your likely local ones are. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're car tracks.
especially-
They're bike tracks. A lot of them are motorbike tracks.
Yeah.
And they don't have to be crazy wide. So, yeah, that's a lot of the notes that I've got. What notes have you got?
Yeah, well, as it's explained coming up to the end of this segment where he's drifting the MR2 is the different types of counter steer that you have. Where you have like a longer car is a much smoother counter steer, whereas you have something very snappy like a MR2. You got to be really quick on your steering inputs and throttle inputs, otherwise you do end up spinning. And
Yeah.
I thought that was explained really well. Like, it sort of flew over my head when I was not exactly in drifting and when
Yeah.
I first started. But as I've like gotten into the car and actually started driving myself, it did make a lot of sense and it did help me a lot. It getting smoother with my steering inputs, I guess. So
Yep.
you're not entering and then trying to throw the counter steer on later. You understand what car you're driving to how you should counter steer it. As a great example, when I first drifted my 34, my friend Kyle will attest to this. I was just reefing on the thing like no tomorrow because I just like straight after driving the 8.6, I was like this way, and he's like whoa, what are you doing? I'm like calm down, just smooth small inputs. You don't need to throw it. It's a sedan, and I'm like okay.
Not a throw.
Gently. So, yeah, the different types of counter steer to different types of cars was explained really well in this part here,
Yeah.
as well as, the weight balance to what you're doing. I thought that was really
Yeah.
portrayed.
Yeah.
Something that was probably a little bit more on the advanced side of the beginner thing.
Well, I think that the first half of the video is very total beginner. And then this part and stuff where a beginner who's probably starting out probably doesn't even understand what oversteer and understeer is completely. Like I would put money down on that. So
probably more like your intermediate people that have been drifting for a few months and
or at least have an idea about cars and stuff like that and how suspension works and things like that. So
yeah.
Yeah. And for the people who missed it, who have just started watching, we have merch, and it is in it's a key holder, so similar to the older Snap-on ones that are completely
Long
sold out and very
discontinued.
expensive, even if you can find one. They're in multiple colors, and the purple's even glow in the dark. So yeah, get on that. And
We also have stickers on the way.
yeah,
We've got R34 and A86 ones.
yeah,
You
as
can
well
see
as
them
this
somewhere.
microphone one.
There you go.
Can't really
There we go.
see. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yep. So yeah,
Cool.
if you want to help support us, definitely get on it. We'll be posting links for that shortly.
Sweet.
Next, you're still driving that little MR2, that poor thing.
A 4-car.
But you can see how much more violent when you look at the G-force balls. You can see how much more violent it is.
Yeah.
On the G's in that car. You know, so you can really understand why they do lose grip so easily. Do you want to talk a little bit about tandems, just briefly, because that was not at all covered on here, and I feel like that is something that should have at least been touched on at the end, but I know they're trying to keep it a beginner thing. So
yeah. Well, let's touch on tandems at the end, because coming up we're about to have the A86 demo in a few clips time. So let's start talking about that preemptively. I thought it was really good, but it definitely showed its age in the style of NA driving today. My own personal. But yeah, as in, you know, he'll come in and not use third gear and clutch kick. It'd be come barreling into the corner, hit the brakes, bang second, and just step on it. And obviously being a less set up car, as, you know, most of them are today, it just kind of oversteered, and that's what he stayed on. And the transitions were not held together very well, because the car was, you can see it wobble everywhere. It's
the 8.6?
yeah, the 8.6. It was very cool, but it definitely showed its age.
Yeah, that was definitely... Well, that was getting it all. In 2012 was when it got all of the full upgrades to the 7H and stuff like that.
Car. This is just the random one.
Oh, the random red one?
Red one, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, his white one is obviously a total different monster.
Yeah.
But yeah, the red car is, you know, you watch it.
It was a very basic setup car.
Very basic, but yeah, it's the style of NA driving has definitely changed a lot to what Sachia was portraying in this video. I feel like it's definitely become more of a feint style and clutch kick style, because, you know, all the NA drivers now today know that you've got to be barreling in and hold that speed until at least mid-corner. Otherwise, you're not going to have the power to make it to the end. As you can see quite a few times in this video, as it doesn't quite make it to the end of that last corner, where you see a lot of 8.6 drivers today will come flying in and then, you know, just go. Like, send it.
Look at this lovely 8.6. That's like 30 grand sitting right there. He probably bought it for 3 back in the day.
I was like watching the video this afternoon. I was like, wow, that was really clean. Hey,
look at that
like,
uncracked dash.
Uncracked dash. You can see how glossy the front grille is. I'm like, that'd go for a lot of money right now.
yeah.
Fog lights some in. But yeah, as you can see here,
it's very, very erratic driving in the 8.6. I
know to say that erratic driving in an 8.6 is uncommon, but
it's a lot.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's a controlled erratic.
Yeah,
whereas this is just like reactive erratic driving.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
it was entertaining to watch. But yeah, I feel like
you can see there's no grip in it too. Look at it bouncing around like crazy.
The outside
definitely
view
didn't have that K office suspension.
Definitely didn't have K office suspension.
It probably did.
Probably just had choppies like every other 8.6.
Yeah, well, could have. They could have just said it at K office. But yeah. Okay. Yeah, I didn't look at what the tires were on there.
Yeah, he was drifting on what they said were super grippy tires, but I have no idea what they were in terms of tires.
I know they
today.
put Steelies on in the later section of it, so
Charlie. Shush.
yeah, Ben with his erratic driving. Hey, it's not uncontrolled.
It's not that erratic. Come on.
Yeah, so anything you want to comment about that 8.6 driving other than that? I think the biggest difference is if you want to see real 8.6 driving, is just go watch Running Free.
Like, or you wear.
Yeah.
Like, Yuo is one of my idols. Is like who I'd based a lot of my 8.6 driving after.
Yeah.
If you can find it on YouTube, go find his KE70 wagon downhill drifting. That'll just blow your mind. It shouldn't be possible what he does with that car. And yeah, it's cool. It's basically just an 8.6 in a KE70 wagon, and it's cool as. And his driving is amazing.
You can see here how understeery it is just by how much he has to turn in on a corner entry as well. Like, there's no feint. It's just like turn in and then just quickly react to it as it comes back around and hope. Like, yeah. S-Tyres, I don't know what they are, Jay. Are they? Is that like a
is that
a semi-slick in Japan over there? I don't know.
We'll wait for the reply.
Yeah. So,
I did. I thought it was very good and very informative.
I think Marseille was a good track to pick for this too.
Yeah, it did have a bit of everything.
Yes,
which was good.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like they could have demonstrated the handbrake drift a little bit more and the hairpin.
I think they nailed that in the start.
They did, but. Yeah, like in this video, he doesn't really demonstrate it a whole lot. He does a lot of the braking entry.
Yeah.
Which would have been
cool. As I said, though, I think it's like a beginner at the beginning, and then when you're intermediate and you think you're getting good, like you watch the middle. But you can watch the end is also for true beginners too. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. I don't know. You got to remember, handbrake wasn't super duper relied on back then as well in an 8.6 and that S14.
Definitely not as an 8.6.
So,
yeah, semi-slicks. Okay.
Yeah. Over there, they wouldn't be relying on a handbrake in that 8.6 to get it to drift. So
I was more in play like the S13 and the S14 drifters. They didn't like the S13. They did a bit, but that hairpin was a prime opportunity for a nice smooth handbrake entry. Which
and you can see he's just doing a foot brake into there, but. I don't know. I think that's good. You don't want to be pushing handbrake too much anyway. So,
handbrake
for beginners, because then they start relying on it, like all the Americans. So, shots fired. there's some stuff going on. Just Noriara was posting about that. It's like, why do Americans like flame on about handbrakes and stuff? So. Yeah, I'm interested to see what comes out of that.
Yeah, I'm keen to see the Twitch stream. If I can ever catch it.
Okay, next, what have you got for notes?
So coming up after the 8.6 segment was a beginner's guide on practicing techniques, which I thought was actually really good. Like, I mean, I didn't do it, and I really sort of wish I did. I did a little bit in Germany. So when I lived in
about 2 minutes when I was at Ebisu on the skid pan, I'm like, yeah, good enough. Let's go Toge.
See, like, I got my driver's license in Germany, and my boss lent me this minivan, and he was like, don't do anything stupid in it. And then it started snowing, and I was like, hey, why not? So I turned all the traction control off, and I started doing like handbrake U-turns and like trying to like hold a 90-degree slide into a corner, as you do.
Yeah.
But that was my only experience in sliding a car before I bought my 8.6. And I sort of wish I practiced a little bit of that when I was getting into it, because it does help you understand a lot more stuff down the track. Like when I learned to drive, I just learned solely on the clutch, and that was all I ever did. I never really worked out how to use the handbrake, because whenever I used the handbrake, the car would stop sliding because I just didn't understand it. Whereas then I moved up to the 34, and handbrake entries are now a much more usable thing, because I have the power to keep the slide going, as well as you can go fast enough to use it. Whereas, like the 8.6, you should be going fast enough to use it, but you can't just slide in on it and let it go. You got to be throwing it in. So I feel like it's a good thing to know for beginning, as well as moving on later into advanced techniques.
Yeah.
I struggled a lot with that personally.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't know how you were with it, because you learned to drive in a different circumstance than I did.
I had a total mix of everything, you know, and I was literally just following a very good driver to learn. So, and like I practically learnt tandeming, so I was somewhat reliant on handbrake because I needed that to pull me up. But I wouldn't say that I'm reliant on a handbrake, though. I just think I have a mix, of what a normal person should have.
Yeah.
You know, and you can definitely use handbrake. And I think I probably use handbrake too much when I'm tandeming compared to I should be using more foot brake as I'm tandeming. So
Yeah.
and keeping balance on the throttle.
I think that also comes down to like the way you drift as well. I use a lot of handbrake in tandeming, but that's just my personal preference.
Yeah.
You know, like also how you drive your car, because everyone has their own style. But yeah, as Sachi is showing here, like your handbrake U-turn techniques and stuff like that.
This was actually
Which-
he was showing a lot of this what you start doing with an open diff, because he was expecting that people would have an open diff and then
Move up into getting
move
an
up into an
LSD.
LSD. So that's why he's showing a lot of handbrake stuff here, and then but one thing that Jay said, going back to Marze, is that he's saying that it is actually a tight downhill to a tight hairpin. I always figured that Marze was quite flat.
No, the back section where it comes in through those S's is downhill. That's so even
Right.
Sachia said, is it coming down in the MR2? It gets super unsettled because it's flying downhill.
Interesting. It's
go.
something
You
that
want
doesn't
guys
really
use handbrake?
show up on video.
Yeah, no, it
Like,
doesn't.
so that's interesting. And yeah, as Charlie said, like driving, you know, you just go back and you watch a really old Adam LZ video and you watch him now. Like that dude has probably had the most seat time,
Yeah.
compared to probably, I would say he would be in like the top 1% of drifters in the world as regards to seat
Oh,
time.
100%.
Like,
He just drives and
yeah,
drives and
you
drives.
know,
And that's,
the only other comparison is like James Dean and those other top level drivers.
yeah, people that do it for a living.
Yes, yeah. Well, I guess Adam kind of does.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, as I said, just drive
Yeah.
as much as you can. And even Sachia said like he was driving 5 nights a week.
Yeah, and this
So-
is back in the
And
day
Luke
as well.
even said he was driving 5 days a week.
exactly. If you want to get good, it's a drive. You know, it's a little bit hard these days to do a bit of handbrake up in the hills, but
Yep.
but like Sushia says in this, like that when he was learning, he couldn't take a corner unless he was drifting. That's how into learning he was back then.
Yeah,
so
so-
like, I wouldn't suggest that
No.
now, but that just shows
Definitely not.
how much practice you need to get good.
Yeah, you know, it's all practice. And I mean, that's what everyone says, and it's well and truly known. You know, like get yourself a car that's basic and go drive, have fun. And that's the other thing that Sachia says is like drifting should be fun.
Yeah.
that you should be having
Totally.
fun. That you're practicing, but it feels fun.
Yeah.
And
And drifting isn't building a car in the garage that's going to be a drift car. That's not drifting.
no,
You
drifting
know,
is
drifting
getting
is
something,
actually getting out and driving.
Yeah.
So, you know.
build something basic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rip hills.
yeah.
I
feels-
cry every time.
yeah.
But yeah,
But yeah, did you want to speak anything else about the Driftland? I'm so sad. Like, I watched this Driftland part.
I love
and
watching old videos from this.
God, I
It is
just want to
so
drive
nice.
Driftland so bad. Because it is, if people don't know, Driftland's completely closed because that's where the elephants
Now
are.
live?
Or they live opposite it, and
Yeah.
can't
The
have
noise
the
upsets
noise.
them.
Yeah,
Yes.
with those big ears. So poor guys. I don't.
So they just got sick of listening to SRs with no exhaust. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel their pain.
Yeah. listen to tractors. But yeah, I think that a lot of this in this Driftland section was really, really well explained. And a big one in here was pulling over and having a break. You know,
Yeah,
if you're getting frustrated or if you do a big mess up, you pull in and stop and you give yourself, even if it's just a 1 minute breather, just to catch your breath, get yourself back in the right headspace
get
and
yourself
get back
together.
into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that really even happens even when you're, not just a beginner. You know,
Oh,
even if you're
100%.
doing intermediate and advanced stuff, you should be taking a break to just refocus. you
Yeah, I
know?
mean, especially if you're trying to practice something. I mean, that's what I like to use Queensland Raceway for. It's a great track for learning on.
Yeah.
If I'm trying to practice something and I'm just not getting it, I'll go into pits for like 10 minutes, have a drink.
Nah, man, if
Just-
you want to wait 10 minutes, just hop in line. Shots fired.
Love you, Neil. I'm sorry. No, morning session's all right. We don't go to Friday
Yeah.
nights like you plebs.
I don't go. I've never driven a
You
Friday
do.
night.
We drive Friday night.
I've never driven one.
You're that type of person.
No, I drive Matsuris. The worst for a
No,
lineup.
I don't go to Matsuri to learn. I go to Matsuri to drive. And
Yeah.
you just sit in the tandem.
I go to
lane.
Matsuri to sit in a lineup.
Yeah, of course you do. So you just do burnouts in
Yeah.
line, just
Yeah.
like for the vlogs, man.
No, I've never done a burnout, eh?
I did.
I've never done like a full static on brake, so maybe I need to learn.
You're not a true
I'm not even
Australian, eh?
Australian,
You're not
eh?
even Australian.
Yeah,
How can you
I
be
know,
on this
that's
podcast?
terrible, isn't it?
Please leave.
Well, it's not the burnout podcast. Anyway.
It should be.
Um,
Formula D. Wait, what?
Nah, that's drag racing, man.
Sideways burnout drag racing.
Anyway, moving on.
Moving on. Yeah, just, you know, if you're getting frustrated trying to practice something, you need to take a breather. It is a very good point that
Yeah.
Tsuchiya made, you know.
Yeah,
'cause it's-
especially when you're learning. That's a big one.
Especially at the part where he's talking about here. It's like, if you start messing up like this, and you
Yeah,
can't
I think
just,
this is exactly the point
just
where it's
stop
like that.
and
So,
take
yeah.
a breather, you know?
Yeah.
His definitions on the handbrake entries were good too. He's like, too little, too much, and then like the right amount.
Yeah.
You know. And here,
Yeah, and here a checklist. So start off with learning with a 90-degree turn, 180-degree turn, a 360-degree turn, was it after that or something?
Yeah,
I
the
can't
360 around the cone like this.
Yeah.
And then
yep.
start with, you know, your low grip tires.
Yes.
Move up your grip tires.
Yep, and then you're starting to do figure eights and you're starting to link
Yeah,
corners.
I feel like they definitely should have included figure eights in this video because it does help learning how to compensate for a transition in the car, which is something they didn't really cover.
I don't know if there is a spot on Driftland to do proper figure eights though.
No, but they've got Kurokura Land, which
yeah.
That more to the point, or the first section, which I think is actually the back section of Kurokura Land, isn't it?
Yeah, so here it is. E-brake turn, which is handbrake turn, drifting with low grip, and then drifting with matching grip tires, front and rear. Yeah, and like I honestly think for a beginner, it was enough to teach me, you know, the basics before I hopped in an actual drift car to have just a basic understanding of how it all works.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely start on low grip tires. It helps. It does.
Yeah, totally.
Like you get the understanding and the feel for your car. I mean, I drove.
Well,
you're
less likely to
time.
understeer as well,
Yeah.
and that understeer is the one that really it's what people struggle with. You know, that's where you go
when
to
I started
defensive driver
countering
training
it,
to
I
learn.
honestly just disliked it, and that's why I changed my whole setup. And as you even commented on how different my car is to your car when we drove that Archfield Drift Day.
Yeah,
it's
just
like
totally
different front end feels.
Yeah,
and that also comes down. He does say that in the video. It does come down to personal preference at the end of the day.
Yep,
you know.
Yeah, and you know what you can afford to have set up on that car as a basic car when you're learning as well. You know, and what car you're even is available. You know, everyone probably wants to learn in an A86, but it's probably not going to freaking happen these days. You know, so it's it comes down to what's available. You know, so if that's an R31, that's going to feel completely different to an A86. So yeah. You know, but at the same time, I think another one you missed out on here was front wheel drive drifting.
FF Dory. Who doesn't love a bit
where's
of...
the Macca's trays?
You didn't even need Macca's trays.
No.
Was it?
The dude in the Civic in
Ebisu.
Yeah, man.
He was also drifting
dude, honestly,
Yamanashi and Meihan.
Yeah, I've got a
that guy's ballsy.
He was in Drift Tengoku. Yeah, you know, like he was literally keeping up with the other guys.
Hey?
Yeah.
I was impressed. That was super cool.
Yeah.
Would have been, I think there is a episode on Hot Version somewhere about front wheel drive drifting.
Ooh, I want to watch that.
And they also do K car drifting as well, which is really, really funny. Because they basically just all drive up embankments and almost roll over. It's really funny. Go find it. It's either on Hot Version or the MSC special.
Right.
I can't remember. If I ever find it again, I'll link it. But yeah, back to what he's saying in the video here. Drift car maintenance.
Yeah, okay.
No,
you don't need to worry about it.
Yeah, that's fine. Don't ever check your car.
Don't put cotter pins in your...
Don't put cotter pins in anything. In saying that, I think I lost one out of one of my axles. I'm like, 50 Ugga-Duggers will be alright.
Man, you're struggling to lose an axle, though. That's an effort. I don't think that thing's going anywhere. I can't even get them out, let alone have fallen out by itself.
I don't know. My last one was very impressive.
Yeah, PBC drifting. Yeah, go watch Noriara's
Go watch Noriara's video because that is hilarious.
The snow drifting, that's another one, you know.
I love the snow drifting
that's
episode.
Slow and that's really easy to learn out. Here, talking about a worn out LSD where it's going to open center.
Yes, service your LSDs.
Yeah, not as often as what he says, though. He said like something crazy about servicing them.
Once a month?
Yeah.
How much would you do it?
LSD was meant to last like at least yearly, in my opinion.
No, if you're drifting with a two-way, they recommend to change it every like 3 to 5 events, depending on how you drive.
Stuff like that shit's expensive.
So it's a two-way, but it's so much nicer than a weldy. I mean, I change mine every month to 2 months, depending on how I drive.
And you got way too much money.
No, I just don't want my shit to break.
It did break.
It didn't break anything that I took care of, did it?
So this is the guy who has changed an LSD. Anyway,
Yeah.
do
Okay.
maintenance.
Yes. But that was
Um,
due to axles
no.
and my own stupidity. Third gear burnouts are great.
Oh, good. But yeah, maintenance key.
Yeah, just
Totally
take care
key.
of your car. You know, it's not,
Yeah, and it's
Too hard.
something easy to forget too.
especially when you get caught up in driving.
Another thing I think that is maintenance while you're at the track, like checking your car while you're at the track, and that's in big ones, oil and water. So yeah, once one time a year. No, that's it. That's
Yeah,
all I
but
do.
you don't drive
know?
it every day. See, the difference
Yeah.
between a lot of people like me
Yeah,
and
look, I
even...
haven't looked at this in 2 years. There you go, man. You're being way too pedantic about that. You're not in a like 1,000 horsepower race car. Once a year. If you're doing it minimum once a year, you're right. That's how long gearbox and diff oil should last. So
yeah, but I drive my 34 like an 8.6.
Yeah, just keep wasting money.
Yeah, I mean, like,
You know, he's probably sponsored by oil companies, man. That's why he's telling you to change it every 3 or 4 events. Because they making money.
shout
Probably
out
tell
to
you to-
Penrite.
he'll probably tell you to change bloody engine oil halfway through the event.
Oh, isn't that common practice?
I know some people at Matsuri change motors halfway through the event, so why not?
Yeah, fuck it. Didn't Becky run his 4H on one of the
Yeah,
morning
yeah.
sessions or something?
Yeah. I don't know why he's back at Mars.
This is the last high-speed drifting demonstration.
I think he just liked driving, to be honest. I think he
Probably.
just wanted to
They're just
show
like,
off.
Show off, yeah.
Yeah.
They do a little bit of a demonstration for high speed and like style drifting.
Yeah.
And we were discussing this a bit before the show, and I think it came down to
I don't know what's happening with videos. I don't know if that's.
It's super fast.
Oh.
No,
No,
showing
it's a
the-
comparison
it's
video
the,
of high speed versus low
yeah.
speed. That's right. Or high angle high versus high speed, but yeah.
Yeah. So
Which is a relevant thing these days, you know, like taking different lines, which I think is kind of what this is trying to show you.
yeah, as you can see, show drift versus fast drift. And
Yeah.
I feel like his fast drifting, it's
His fast drifting is fast, but his show drifting is not show drifting either. So
No.
yeah, no, like it's interesting to see the actual physical speed difference though of the kilometers per hour that it's doing.
I feel like it's not quite true because I think they're following the rear wheels. It's off the speedo, so
totally.
it won't be insanely correct. But then
No,
you see
it'd probably be
halfway
off the
through,
front wheels. No, it'd be off the front wheels. That's what the ABS would run off.
not on Nissans.
On
On 100s and Altezas and stuff like that, they all
Yeah.
do, but not on Nissan. They run off the gearbox.
it could be GPS for all we know.
GPS in 2003.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I. Oh.
See, because you see the show drift is a much higher kilometer, but then you get to the end of the corner and he's doing another 15 Ks
Mm.
generally.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, his show drifting isn't really show drifting these days. Like, look at the video behind us of how much more angle you're getting on a show drift that's still fast. But yeah, I think it's a
Natural.
good thing to point that out, but it wasn't overly shown off. And honestly, a beginner's probably going to look at it and go, I don't even see the difference. You know, like. So, apart from the actual physical speedo numbers that they're seeing, and how longer it's taking to get around the track. So, yeah, but it is like line is a big factor.
Especially, I mean, I feel like the high speed line, especially at Ebisu, like there's a video of you in here where you come flying over. Is it Higashi? That's the fast one.
Yeah.
You come flying down the straight and you're against the guardrail and you flick back the way.
Yeah.
And you're probably doing just as fast as he was going straight down the straight.
Yeah, exactly.
And therefore, then he came in and he used the braking style entry, whereas you entered.
I'm
from
carrying
the top,
that speed through as well.
through.
Yeah.
As we were talking about the faint style drift that's sort of moved on into high speed curve.
Yeah, totally. So, yeah, no, yeah, I think it was a good end of things summary for it. But yeah, no, I think it was a well put together
especially
movie.
for the time. It was really well done. Still mostly relevant today, especially if you're beginning. But
I think it's definitely worth a watch. If you're just learning or about to start learning, definitely give it a watch. It's still totally relevant. Yeah.
yeah, no, definitely a good thing to know.
Mm.
Everything in the video that you see, you'll definitely end up using later on. Because, if for example, you probably won't use braking entries that much anymore, but if you come in way too hot, it's a good thing to know so you can save yourself and do a braking entry and then pull the drift off and not go off into the dirt.
Yeah,
like
totally.
Dirt racing's fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you did say, they didn't touch at all on tandeming, but then tandeming was more of a D1 GP sort of feat back then, or like your drift teams. But, today, people have gone drifting for a week, and then they're like, oh, let's jump straight into tandems. Or like you went to Ebisu for the first time and it was like, I'm going to follow this guy in front of me and just sort of end up tandeming him.
Yeah.
And then that's how you learn. It's a good thing to know, like foot brake techniques, mid-drift, adjusting your drift with your handbrake.
And honestly, I think this video is worth a watch if you've been drifting for 5 or 10 years and you just need a refresher almost, like, or a reset, and just to go back to the basics, because the foundation stuff, you have to master that. So you said you haven't done that like 180 handbrake stuff and that 90-degree handbrake stuff. You probably should know how to do that. I'm not not saying that you can't do it, but it's something that you should actually practice.
I've learned it now, but I really wish that I'd sort of caught on and tried practicing it a bit earlier, because it is such a good thing to know how your car reacts when you do it.
Yeah, no, totally. And honestly, all of those basic things, if you're hopping into a new car, you're gonna go through all those steps
to feel the car
out and how it's gonna be different. So even though you're not a beginner, if you do get a new car, you should treat it like you're a beginner. So yeah. Brake drifting at Nico. Yeah, I want to go watch some stuff at Nico next time, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. I'd like to go to Nico Circuit. Shout out to Benny. I'm super keen to go on one of his trips.
Yeah. Yeah.
Start saving now.
Definitely. You're going to be saving for a while.
I've got 86 to finish.
But yeah, so, but anyway, that is...
Yeah, that concludes the Drift Bible.
Yeah.
I think it's super informative. I did like it, did enjoy it. Still very good for beginners today.
Yeah, and I think it's something that, especially people, that are hopping into a new car, especially like Ebisu when you go there, and you're hopping into a car that you don't know what it's like, you've never driven in it before, you're just feeling it out. Just go and spend the hour on your first trip. Whether you're super confident in yourself or not, you shouldn't be confident in the car. And just test it, feel it out. Don't just jump in 100%,
No, definitely not.
So, yeah, that goes for anything, I was even watching a Noriaro video the other day where he hops in that blue A86 at Ebisu on Higashi, and he almost wrote that thing off on like the first corner.
He's still got power steering and no lock.
Yeah, but he spun out and almost hit the concrete barrier. And it's probably because he was just like, oh, I remember how to drive an 860. He's like, oh, no, I don't. It was literally what his words were. So, take it easy, when you're hopping into a car that you don't know. Yeah. Other than that, I think that about sums it up. A much shorter episode than last fortnight's.
But last Wednesday was a great episode, bit of a marathon, but definitely if you have a few hours to kill, go and listen to it. It was super cool listening to Fink's story about how we got into drifting and
definitely
all of the shenanigans that happened back in the day.
Yeah, and speaking of listening to it, you can listen to it on pretty much every single podcasting spot. I don't know if there's any spots that you can't listen to it. So
if you find somewhere where we can't be listened to, let us know and we'll get our show up there.
But you can listen to it on iTunes Podcasts, Spotify, Podcast One,
Google Podcasts.
It's on all
YouTube. Facebook.
Skitcher as well. I'm pretty sure it's called
Stitcher.
Stitcher, that's it. As well. Facebook, YouTube. We got Instagram. Follow us on there. Share us around, guys. We want to get out there. Talk to some new people. We got some pretty good episodes, exciting ones in the mix. Our next episode is gonna be with the one and only Jacob Peck. So, think of your questions you have for him. I'm sure that a few of you have some, and about his brand DeathClick. So, yeah, be excited for that. Come and say hi. We will be at the Adam LZ event. That's a definite. Ben may go out to this Power Play one on the weekend, and
hopefully Brendan will be out there. So go say hi to him.
Go say hi to Brendan. He'll be in the red Altezza.
IS200. Hopefully he brings it out. Yeah, that'll be cool. If not, it'll be a black one.
Okay. Because we can afford to have two.
You're going to have a daily and the drift car, but you're going to have the map. Thanks for commenting, guys. It's been super rad having people commenting during the podcast and be able to interact with us a bit more.
Yeah. So. And again, check out our merch. And
come say hi and grab a sticker or something.
Grab a sticker and consider buying one of these. So, awesome. I'll catch you guys next time.
Thanks for listening.